All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. Today we're tackling something super relevant, especially for those of you prepping for the UPSC exams. We're diving deep into the Right to Information Act of 2005.
You got it. And it's not just about knowing the law for the exam. It's about understanding how it works, how it impacts you and me, how it shapes India.
Absolutely. It's about transparency, accountability,
Yeah.
that good stuff. But before we get all philosophical,
Let's get practical.
exactly,
Yeah.
gotta talk about the elephant in the room. The Supreme Court recently came down hard on the government for dragging its feet on appointing information commissioners. I mean,
hmm
what's the deal with that?
So think of information commissioners as the referees of the RTI world. When there's a dispute over whether information should be disclosed, they make the call.
Makes sense.
But here's the catch. There's a huge backlog of cases, like thousands just sitting there. At the Central Information Commission alone, over 23,000 appeals are just waiting.
23,000. Wow. That's insane. No wonder the Supreme Court's not happy.
Right. And it's not just about the numbers. It's about the impact on people. Those seeking information are left hanging in limbo, sometimes for years. It erodes trust in the system.
It's like the system itself is saying, we don't really care about your right to know.
Sadly, yeah, that's how it can feel. And for UPSC aspirants, this is crucial. You need to understand these real-world implications.
It's not just about memorizing the act.
Mm.
It's about understanding the system, the challenges. It's all connected.
Exactly. And speaking of connections, let's rewind a bit. Remember the whole story behind the RTI Act? How it all started with a grassroots movement?
Oh, yeah. Back in the 80s, those villagers in Rajasthan who fought for access to government records, they were like, hey,
Yeah,
we deserve to know what's going on.
they were the pioneers. Their
Sure.
struggle paved the way for this landmark legislation. It's a reminder that the RTI Act, it's not just some legal jargon. It's a tool for empowering citizens.
Right, on holding those in power accountable. And it's not just for the big guys either, right? The act applies to all levels of government.
Exactly. From the panchayat to the parliament, everyone's covered. It's about ensuring transparency at every level.
And it's not just about asking questions either. It's about challenging secrecy when it's not in the public interest. Remember Section 8.2?
Ah, yes. The famous public interest clause.
This is where things get really interesting,
Yeah.
right? So for our listeners who might not be as familiar with this legal mumbo-jumbo,
Sure.
can you break down why Section 8.2 is so important?
Okay, so let's say the government's planning a huge infrastructure project, but there are concerns about its impact on the environment. They might try to keep some reports confidential under the guise of national security or whatever.
Right.
But if there's a strong public interest in knowing the potential risks, like health hazards, pollution, you name it, citizens can use Section 8.2 to argue that disclosure is necessary.
Even if the government's trying to keep it hush-hush.
Exactly. It's about balancing the need for confidentiality with the public's right to know.
I remember that case. A few years back, Section 8.2 was used to expose corruption in a massive mining project.
It was huge. Exactly. It shows how this seemingly technical provision can have real-world impact, real consequences.
And for those prepping for UPSC, this is gold. You need to understand not just the what, but the how the act is applied in real-life situations.
Spot on. It's not just about rote learning, it's about critical thinking, applying the law to different scenarios.
The kind of stuff that makes UPSC examiners go, this candidate gets it.
You got it.
But even with this powerful provision, it seems like the RTI Act isn't always a smooth ride, does it?
Sadly, no. We talked about the delays in appointments, but there's more. Did you know that some state information commissions have been basically defunct since 2020?
Seriously?
They're not even accepting new petitions? Forget about clearing the backlog.
That's awful. It's like they're shutting down access to information altogether.
And to make matters worse, there's no uniformity across states. Some have online portals for RTI applications, others don't. Some have simple registration processes, others make it a nightmare.
Ugh, it's like trying to navigate a maze. Blindfold.
Imagine, you're prepping for your mains exam. You need to file RTI requests in multiple states.
What a nightmare. It's clear that knowing the theory of the RTI Act is just the tip of the iceberg.
You need to understand the practical challenges, the ground reality.
It's about seeing the big picture, the how and the why of it all.
Exactly, how these challenges impact the act's effectiveness and ultimately citizens' access to information.
It's easy to get kind of bummed out with all these problems.
Right. But let's shift gears a bit. How about we talk about solutions?
I'm all for that. It's not enough to just point out what's broken. We need to think about how to fix it.
Exactly. Especially for those of you aiming to join the Indian civil services. You'll be the ones shaping the future.
Absolutely. So where do we start?
Well, for starters, We got to address that whole appointment process for information commissioners. It's way too slow.
Agreed. Speeding up the process and clearing that backlog is crucial.
But it's not just about speed,
Yeah.
right? We need more transparency in how these commissioners are chosen. Right. Remember the Anjali Bhardwaj case? The Supreme Court made it clear we need diversity in the selection panel.
Yeah. Bringing in people from different backgrounds, journalism, law, activism, fresh perspectives.
Imagine a panel with a seasoned journalist, a sharp lawyer, and a grassroots activist. Talk about a power team.
Exactly. That's how you get balanced decisions.
Yeah.
Decisions that are in the public interest.
And while we're at it, why not expand the scope of the RTI Act itself?
Ooh, I like where you're going with this.
There are so many organizations that handle public money, but they operate under the radar, like public-private partnerships, sports bodies.
They're like the black holes of accountability.
Bringing them under the RTI umbrella would be a game changer.
It would shed light on how public funds are actually being used.
Transparency is key. Whether it's infrastructure projects or sports federations, people deserve to know where their money's going.
And let's not forget about political parties.
Ah, yes, that's a big one.
Their financial dealings should be open to public scrutiny, don't you think?
Transparency in political funding, it's crucial for a healthy democracy. It's a debate we need to have.
Okay, so we talked about appointments, expanding the scope. What about making the RTI Act itself more user-friendly?
Good point. Right now, it's a bit of a bureaucratic maze, isn't it?
It is. What if we made it possible to submit RTI applications at any post office across the country?
Interesting idea. It would make it much more accessible, especially for people in rural areas.
Right, now they have to travel miles just to file an application.
And how about a unified online portal for RTI applications?
Now you're talking one platform for the entire country. No more confusion about different state-level systems.
E-governance in action.
Exactly. And think about the possibilities beyond just streamlining processes. We could use data analytics AI to track RTI requests, identify patterns of information denial.
Wow, we could literally use technology to hold the system accountable.
It's like merging the human element with the power of tech.
Exactly. But even with the best technology, we need a shift in mindset.
Like a cultural shift.
Yeah, a culture of transparency, where officials proactively disclose information instead of waiting for an RTI request.
It's about moving from being reactive to proactive.
Imagine a government that embraces transparency because it wants to, not because it has to.
That's the dream, right? A government that truly serves the people.
And that's where active citizenship comes in. It's not enough to just know about the RTI Act. We need to use it.
We need to demand accountability,
Right.
hold our elected representatives responsible.
It's a collective responsibility. We, the people, have this powerful tool. Now it's up to us to use it wisely.
To shape a more transparent and accountable India.
Exactly.
It's amazing how one piece of legislation can spark so much discussion.
It's a testament to the power of information.
The idea that a well-informed citizenry is the foundation of any democracy. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the Right to Information Act, let's bring it back to our UPSC aspirants. Any key takeaways they should be jotting down?
Well, first off, understanding the RTI Act is crucial for both mains and prelims. It's not just about knowing the facts and figures, though.
It's about getting the nuances right. The debates, the challenges, the real-world implications.
Exactly. UPSC examiners are looking for analytical thinking, connecting current events to the Act.
So, like discussing the impact of the DPDP Act on the RTI Act's effectiveness, or analyzing arguments for and against bringing political parties under the RTI scope.
Spot on. It's about showing you understand how the law works in practice, not just in theory.
And for those aspiring civil servants out there, remember, the RTI Act isn't just an exam topic, it's a tool you'll be responsible for upholding.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Well said. But even if you're not planning on joining the civil services, understanding the RTI Act is crucial for any informed citizen. It's about holding power accountable and shaping a better future.
It really is.
So to all our listeners, whether you're burning the midnight oil for UPSC or just curious about this important law, we encourage you to dig deeper. What other aspects of the RTI Act intrigue you? How can we as citizens make it more effective?
Those are great questions. And here's one more to ponder. Could the principles of the RTI Act, transparency, accountability, access to information, apply to other areas beyond government?
Now that's a thought-provoking question. Imagine demanding that same level of transparency from, say, our housing societies or local communities.
The possibilities are endless.
This deep dive has truly been eye-opening. We've gone from bureaucratic hurdles to grassroots activism, legal complexities to technological solutions. It's been quite a journey.
It all comes back to the power of information and its role in creating a more just society.
And on that note, a huge thank you to our expert for shedding light on this vital topic. We hope you, our listeners, found this deep dive informative and inspiring. Don't forget to subscribe and like our podcast for more deep dives into topics that matter. Until next time, keep those RTI requests coming and keep pushing for a more transparent and accountable India.